I'm so evil and vicious. Fear me! Hello everybody, my name is Laurel J. Marie and this is The Fub, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about scary stuff. So yesterday I went and saw Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and I loved it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you follow me on Twitter, which you should if you don't, I already kind of said that. But let me give you the reasoning as to why. After giving me hope that I'd get to see more of this new main plot, because they had, up until the end, made the original plot of Pride and Prejudice very much a subplot, a not very important plot because the audience is already familiar with it plot. They actually ended up just really leaning on it in the end and kind of scooted the zombie subplot away. I mean, the zombie main plot away. I want to read the book now, but because I watched a zombie movie yesterday, I started thinking about all the scary things that have happened to me. And when I say scary things, I don't mean like a mugging or anything, but I mean like, you know, ghost stories. I lived on a haunted campus for 4 years, in the most haunted dorm on said campus for 3 of those years. Which I don't know if that was stupid. It didn't have air conditioning either. Let me tell you the first time I ever saw a ghost. So throughout my entire life, I've always felt like something was chasing me. I always saw a black figure that would just kind of run around me or chase me. And it was weird. I don't really know how to explain it. Sometimes I'd see it in the window of my basement room in our old house, and it would just like zoom past the window, and then 3 seconds later it'd do it again. And it would run around the house. Sometimes I would hear footsteps outside of my room too, like pacing up and down the hallway, and it was creepy. When I moved to campus and found out that there was a haunted dorm on campus, I was like, that sounds awesome. I should totally live there! That leads me to my first and potentially only story, depending on how long it takes to tell you. And that was the first time I ever actually saw an apparition. So if you decide to go looking into my school and looking at the scary stories that have come from it, then you'll see a bunch of stories about a woman named Mary Sibley, and how she likes to play pranks on her students, and how she just kind of walks around and attends to her garden, which is now a dorm. Which is true, she's there, she's around, she hangs out. But there are 2 other ghosts in the dorm that I stayed in. Both of them are bad news. We named them both. We don't know their actual names. We tried looking up. We only found out one story about a girl who had killed herself, but it was off campus. So we actually have no idea who these 2 could be. We have reason to believe that one of them might actually be a demon, but we're unsure. I think she might be a lady in white. I stayed in 2 rooms in one of the most haunted dorms on campus. The first room was on the 2nd floor, and the second room was also on the 2nd floor. And they both had their own experiences. However, in the first room is where I saw an apparition for the very first and last time. I met this girl in one of my classes. We hung out late one night. We were hanging out in someone's car, and it was cold, so we had the heat on, and it was past visitation hours. So we were outside, we were just hanging out, we were talking. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, it was getting close to 3 o'clock, and I was like, you know, I got an 8 a.m. tomorrow, I should probably go to bed. So, you know, I left, I said goodbye, and I went into my dorm. But my 2 roommates were already asleep when I got in there, so I didn't want to turn on the light. My door was the closest to my door. My bed was the closest to the door, so I just left the door open so I could get the hallway light in. I used my closet, I got changed, and I got ready for bed. By the time that I laid down, it was about 3:15, and, you know, I closed the door, I locked it, and down the hallway, I could hear beeping. So, this fire alarm down the hallway had been acting so weird for the last month. We had 2 maintenance guys, 2 separate maintenance guys on 2 separate occasions, and the fire department come in, check out what's going on with this fire alarm, because it just kept beeping saying it was low on battery when we had changed it twice. And the fire department said it was fine, but it beeped randomly, and it wasn't like beep 2 minutes later, beep. Sometimes it would beep 5 seconds after the first beep, sometimes it wouldn't beep for an hour or 2. It beeped randomly and sporadically. There was no explanation. I was laying down and I could hear it in the background beeping. And it was beeping a little more rapidly than usual. It was maybe beeping every 10 seconds, 30 seconds. And I kind of just rolled over, and I was facing the wall initially, and I rolled over so I was facing the closet, which was about 6 feet away from my bed. So I rolled over and I faced the closet, and I realized, because I didn't have my glasses on, obviously, so everything was kind of blurry, but I realized that my closet, like where the patterns of the door were supposed to be, weren't there. In fact, it looked more like a figure of a girl. She was wearing a white dress, and she had long dark hair. It didn't come over her face like stereotypical ghosts would, but her face was completely blurred, like someone had smudged their finger over an old developing photo. I just couldn't move. And as this was happening, the fire alarm down the hallway started beeping more and more rapidly, to the point where it almost matched my heart rate. Faster and faster and faster. And it freaked me out even more because it wouldn't stop and she was just staring at me. So I decided, I'm gonna roll over. I'm going to ignore this. I'm not seeing this thing. And so I rolled over and I closed my eyes and I clenched my fist. And the beeping down the hall got faster and faster as I felt a touch on my neck, like someone was breathing and like someone's fingers were on my shoulder, and my breathing became more rapid and the beeping became more rapid, and my heart was beating so fast I was afraid it was gonna stop soon. And I just said to myself, no, you can't do this, you cannot touch me, I don't want you here, leave. And I said, leave. And I said it again a third time, and as I said it on the third time, I turned back around to face her. And as I turned back around to face her, it looked like her figure had been pushed back against the wall again. She looked at me, and even though she had no actual facial features, the little round circles that she had looked almost afraid, and she disappeared. And the beeping, it was one long, loud beep. It lasted for a good maybe 3 seconds, which sounds really short, but when there's just a beep, maybe 4 or 5 seconds actually. And then it just stopped. The beeping stopped altogether, and it did not beep for the rest of the night, but that one loud, long beep woke the rest of the dorm. RAs were pounding on people's doors. Imagine that. Like, I had finally had this experience. I was starting to calm down when suddenly boom, boom, boom on my door as an RA was like, get out of the dorm! Because they thought that the fire alarm had gone off and we needed to evacuate the dorm because there might be a fire going. So my roommates woke up and we all went downstairs and outside, and I saw the girls in the room across from us go down and outside with us. And then when we got outside, I saw some other girls who were down the hall from me, who were the same girls that I had initially been hanging out with that night. We talked for a second, and then I saw them get into a car and leave. And as I watched them leave, we were looking up at the dorm from across the street. All of the girls had evacuated at this point, and suddenly we see the window of the room across from mine, and the lights come on. And I looked right next to me were the girls that lived in that room, and I was like, is your door unlocked? And they shook their heads, no, it's not unlocked. We closed and locked it before we left. And I'm like, did you leave your lights on? And they said, well, I don't know, I don't remember. So I was like, okay, maybe I just saw things. And then I looked back up at the room, and I saw the lights flicker on and off 3 more times. And they saw it too, and they were like, oh my god, there's someone in our room. Later that night, they confirmed that their door was locked when they got back inside. But somehow, for some reason, their lights were flickering. And the beeping did not happen for another 3 weeks. It was silent. But nothing like that ever happened for the rest of the semester. I'll tell you more about my experiences in college next week. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and I'm so excited to be here and go further with you. Also, because of some life events that have popped up, I am no longer going to go to Indie PopCon, and instead going to a VidCon. Thank you guys for watching.